I wanted to chat with you guys about how you can focus on the right actions and activity to actually get your business to move at the pace that you want it to move. This has been something that I help a lot of people with, is try to figure out how to actually make more action happen in their business when they want it to. And where this is coming from is a lot of people that I'm mentoring right now, we're working on a strong focus and goal, is I will pay attention to what type of activity they're doing, and I will evaluate if that activity is actually going to warrant what they want to have happen in the time frame that they want. All right, so let me give you some quick things to consider. When you're trying to grow your business, and if you are using online as your main source of communication with people or marketing, which nowadays that's what it is. If you're trying to focus on old school techniques of the magazine circulars or pulling out telemarketing calls where you're calling people cold, or if you're just going around in the grocery store handing out your business card, those kind of marketing techniques do not work, and it actually creates a bad name for those who are building a home business, especially in network marketing. I myself, I am in network marketing, and as I said, I've been doing it for 9 years, and those are the techniques I've only done in the very beginning when I didn't know any better. Remember, the company that you're representing or the products that you're representing, or even if they're your own product that you self-created, that's not what someone's going to be interested in. They're going to be interested and they're going to connect more with you. So you're the person that you have to quote unquote sell someone on. It's not what you can offer, it's what you are as a person. What are some actions and techniques that a lot of people do when they are growing their business that is actually not going to move the needle? Everyone is growing a different kind of business. Even if you're in the same industry or even the same business that someone else parallel to you is, you can't do the exact same kind of activity. But what you want to do, especially if you are going to be trying to move your business and move the notches up in the time frame that you want. So if you want to make an extra $100 per month, if you want to bring on 5 new people on your team for the week, whatever it is, you have to be sure that the type of action that you're doing is going to make that happen. What would be the kind of activity that would be passive, that would not make that happen? It's everything that you can't control. And where you can easily fall into a rut is where you're focusing on creating content, you're creating social media images, you're editing video, you're opening up new Facebook pages, you're writing a blog, you're maybe opening up your own website and blog. You're creating a lot of content. That is one big hole to get into that is not going to move the needle when you want it to move. Think about it. What you do right now and today, is it going to move something for tomorrow? So what you're working on right now and today, is that actually going to make someone purchase something tomorrow? Someone sign up with you tomorrow? Someone want to work with you tomorrow? Most of the time, if you're doing all that kind of passive activity, it's not. Creating content is not going to make that happen tomorrow. The other thing that can easily become a huge rabbit hole is just surfing online, looking for people, that you are surfing Facebook, waiting for that perfect person to show up so that you can send them a message and talk to them, or searching through Instagram and looking through hashtags and trying to comment on other people's content to try to make that happen. Again, that type of activity is good to do, but it's not what's going to move the needle tomorrow. We have to focus on the activity that is going to move the needle tomorrow. And surfing online, commenting, liking, friending new people is not going to be it. Because if someone needs 7 different times of exposure to what you're offering before they're going to make a decision, then by you friending them today or you sending them a message today is not going to be 7 times before that actually happens. You have to really focus on who have you been talking to. Another big rabbit hole to get involved in is to get stuck into what other people are doing, thinking that that is what is the right activity. Now, especially in the industry that I'm in, there's a lot of people that were focused on what the top income earners or the most successful perceived people in the company are doing, and they'll stalk their social content to try to see, well, that's what I should be doing. Well, then that's what I should be doing. That's the wording I should be using. That's the images I should be using. Well, there's a couple of things you always want to consider. First, perception is perception. It's not always reality. So you don't know if actually that person is actually successful, if they are actually bringing in a lot of business and connection. You really don't know, because someone really could put a good face out front, but you don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. That's the other part to think about. But then there's a certain type of market that person might be talking to where what they're doing works. And then this person may be in the business for so long that this type of following or activity will work for them. But if you're brand new, that may not. What that could actually do is tarnish your reputation. It could burn bridges. It could have people running away from you when they see you on the street. So you have to consider that looking around and trying to do as the Joneses are doing is not going to be what's going to grow your business tomorrow. But what am I going to do today that'll move tomorrow? The other part I just want to quick talk about is something that is easy to get stuck into, is hoping and depending and putting all your eggs in the basket of the few people that you're talking to about your business, because they will say, I'm doing it. I'm going to go on your website when I get home from work today and I'm going to order. And so then you think, yes, I got it. I've finished my goals. I'm making it happen. This person said they're going to do it. But you know what happens? People rarely follow through with what they say they're going to do. We have to be careful that we are not going to be trying to depend on what people say they're going to do, because we know that that's not always going to be the case. And you're going to have greater success when you basically don't put any water, hold any water into what someone says they're going to do, and just keep moving forward. You have to keep talking with more people than you would be talking to fewer people. The fewer amount of people that you are talking to, it's pretty dang hard to be able to make those few people do what you want them to do, but then they also do what they said they're going to do. It's going to be greater for you to be talking to a greater amount of people and knowing that out of these 20 people, realistically, only about 2 or 3 of them are actually going to follow through and do what they said they're going to do. That is the law of averages that has pretty much proven for everything. That if you're talking to 10 people, maybe 1 or 2 of them is actually going to follow through with what you want to do. The same thing goes for 20. Is that many people you have to keep talking to. It has to constantly be in forward motion. It can never be, ooh, Susie said, and so I'm going to sit here and wait and stalk my website to see Susie's name come up because she said she was going to do it when she got home from work at 6 o'clock today. It's usually really not going to happen at that point. And also, if you're building a business where there are times and deadlines and you're trying to make measured movement in your business by a certain date and time, when you tell someone, hey, can you do it by Tuesday night? And they say, yes, I totally am going to. Guess what? Wednesday morning is going to come around, and guess what they did not do? You cannot depend on it. And this also relates to people that are currently working with you in your business. I build a team of people, and the success of the team is by the success of people moving their business forward incrementally, depending on whatever that pace is that they've decided for themselves in their life. But there's certain points where your success to move up is going to be dependent on if those people did movement in their business. And so you may be thinking, okay, if they do this, then my business success is going to start to move up. So they said they're going to do this by Tuesday night. And then Wednesday morning wakes up and they did not. That's very common because, again, you can't control what other people are going to do. No matter if they promised and put their hand on a Bible that they were going to do it, you're going to get burned. And if that's the way you're building your business is going to constantly be in a stressed, frustrated, shaky state. And those things lead to people quitting, getting frustrated, venting, putting negativity out there. And when you're starting to put negativity in your brain, then that's where it just spills out into everything. If you're thinking, this doesn't work, they said this is going to do it. They think it's too expensive. They're not going to do it. You're constantly just filling yourself up with negative. I don't know people. No one's wanting to work with me. That's what's going to keep happening. If you keep saying no one wants to work with you, then no one's going to want to work with you. If you keep saying people think it's too expensive, then everyone's going to think it's too expensive, because that's what you're putting out there. You have to put out there what you know you can control. So here are some things that you know you can control that will move the needle tomorrow. The first things first is that you have to focus on following up. Period. You have to focus on following up with people. And what does that mean? If you don't have people to follow up with, that means that you're not talking to enough people. And that also would mean that you are not grabbing people to want to work with you. You should have an option for people to sign up to communicate with you further. Whether that's you're giving away a tip sheet on how to keep your kids active during summertime. The people are giving you their email because they want to keep getting information from you. And that's your list of people that you can continually follow up with. If you are going to your notepad and you have 3 people on there and you followed up with those 3 people, and then you're like, well, I've got no one else to follow up with, then that's a huge problem, because you're not having enough conversations, creating new conversations with people. So you got to dig through and constantly keep your number one focus on follow up. So your number one critical, most important activity is follow up. And if you have no one to follow up with, that's a huge red flag then for you. That means you're not talking to enough people. You're not capturing enough people to send you messages. You're not having people sign up on a form to get your tip sheet on how to keep kids busy for the summer so that you can do live streams. Like, you're not capturing to talk with people. But your number one activity is follow up, because follow up means you've already had communications. Maybe you've already had 6 times of communications with that person talking about what you were talking about. And now, because you're following up on the 7th time, that's the average of when someone finally makes a decision. So you have to keep that follow up. Here's something I'm just going to share with you. It's something that I personally struggle with myself, is follow up. Because I look at it as, well, if it's important to that person, they're going to want to follow up with me if they want to move forward. That does roll through my brain. So that's why sometimes I think, well, I don't need to. I think that. And you may think that. The other thing I think is, it's exhausting to go through and find out people that you know you've been messaging and they're now not replying so much and you're just trying to follow back up with them. The monotony of following up and trying to get a decision out of someone. That's the third part that's kind of scary is, I'm going to get a decision out of this person. If I follow up with this person, this decision may be no. And then I have to cross them off my list. That's okay. Because what would you prefer? To have an answer of yes or no, do you want to be my girlfriend or boyfriend? Or yes or no, do you want to be my boyfriend or girlfriend? And they never answer it. They keep stringing you along. They'll send you a cute text message, but then they don't call you for a month. And then they give you that booty call. What would you prefer? Yes or no? Do you want to be my boyfriend or not? Or do you want to be strung along? That's what you got to decide. What is most important for you? For me, I want an answer. So if I want an answer, even if the answer is no, I'm cool with it, because then I can cross you off the list. And then I know I can talk to the people who want to talk to me. I got to value my time. My time is important. And for people that really just want to keep stringing you along with the teasing messages, trying to pull free information out of you by not really answering the boyfriend-girlfriend question. Do you want to be my boyfriend or girlfriend? Do you want to lose weight or not? And they keep saying, well, this is what I do with my diet. No, I'm asking, did you want to do this? Well, this is what I do for my workouts. No, I'm asking you this. Sometimes people will constantly give you questions that they just want you to keep answering so that they can get the information for free and not have to move forward with paying you to get the real information that is going to move them forward. So follow up. Close that text message string along thread. No more booty calls. Do you want to be my boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever? Get it done so that you know you talk to the people that you should be talking to. The second strongest, most important activity that you need to do is invite people to check out your product. Invite people to check out your business. Invite people to check out what services you're offering. You have to invite people. And guess what inviting people doesn't mean? It doesn't mean put up a Facebook post and then just sit back and wait to see who likes, comments, or shares on it. Who's going to bite that big worm you put out there on social media? First, your timing is totally going to be relative to how much Mark Zuckerberg loves you for the day. I mean, if your post is going up and if it's not the perfect post, you're going to probably be buried in it. And if you've been posting a billion times, Mark's going to be like, no, that's too many posts. Not enough people like your stuff. So I'm going to bury your stuff over here. So no one's really seeing it because you're not putting up good stuff. How can you depend on what you put out there as breadcrumb is going to be what is going to invite people to look at whatever you're offering? You can only control what you can control. And what you can control is personally messaging one person. That's exactly where you need to go. You have to personally talk to Jill. You need to pick someone out and talk to them as a person. Here's something I want you to think about. I had a message sent to my Facebook inbox from a friend of mine, and the message was very canned. It was very scripted, very canned, and it was about a product. I immediately deleted it because I thought it was odd, first of all, that my friend was sending me a message like this. I was like, oh, their account must have been hacked because they're not talking to me like I'm a real person, like I'm their friend. So I deleted it. And I just recently saw her and she goes, did you ever get this message? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was totally confused on her sending me a message that I never replied to. And then she started telling me what it was about. And I said, oh yeah, no, I got that. I thought that was a hacked email because you weren't talking to me like you knew me. So are you using scripts? Are you sending messages off to people that sounds too professional? I'm sorry, I'm not professional white paper girl. I am, the slang girl. I'm going to talk to you in slang. I'm going to talk to you with emojis. That's just how I talk. So if I'm sending a message to someone, that's how I'm going to talk. So you should be sending messages off to people where it sounds like you. So it sounds like a conversation, but it has to be a personal invitation and it shouldn't be an evasive one. If you know something about that person, they've been expressing that they want to do X, and you now know, all right, you know what? I'm going to just come right out to them and say, you've been saying you want to do this. Have you ever considered checking out that? You have to personally send a message to someone. And that might mean sending a voice memo, a phone call, which, by the way, I don't pick up random phone calls. So I don't suggest just like being like, hey, I just calling you out of the blue. Oh, you're stuck with a hospital with your kid in a sling. Like, that's probably the worst thing to do. I don't think you should just cold call. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a big fan of setting up a call. So you could text them and say, hey, when can I quick call you for a second? Or you could send a voice memo. I'm huge on sending voice memos because it's still personal. It's still you talking to them. And then also you can use all social media channels. But you know what? Sometimes people deprioritize opening a message in social media because they kind of have an expectation of what it might be. I think your personal messaging is the most and the best option. So you have to invite. How often you invite for people, that's up to you. As I said, I've been super busy in my business because I've been aggressively following up, but I've been aggressively inviting people to check out my stuff. You have to focus your most important activity on those two things. The third thing that you definitely want to consider and really be focused on is making a schedule and sticking to it. So your schedule, you can write it out on a sheet of paper every day. You could do whatever you need to do. But if you just sit there blindly without having an action item of what you're going to do in front of you, then you're going to be wandering aimlessly and you're going to get sucked into Facebook. You're going to get sucked into YouTube and you're going to get sucked into content creation because that's my problem. I get like into these websites where I start like getting good information from other people that I'm learning from. And I'm like, ooh, I should totally create a cheat sheet worksheet for my team on this. And my ADD kicks in and I immediately go and start creating a worksheet out of what I just started. But that wasn't on my list. It's easy to deter off your list. Get a schedule, stick to it. There's a couple different worksheets that we've created for the team that I work with. One of them is called a Power Hour worksheet. And what it has is the most important action and activity that you should do to grow your business. But there's a time limit on it. So you could set your phone to have multiple alarms to go off, 15 minutes to follow up with people, 10 minutes to send an invitation out to people. You have a certain amount of time for each activity. And if you have 1 solid hour to do it, then follow that, let the buzzer go off, and it moves you on to the next bit of activity. If you've got more time after you're done with the strongest bit of activity, then go back to again, what more can you do to be able to make business happen tomorrow? I've also got other worksheets. One of them is called the daily coaching worksheet, which again is super simple. People, if you print it up every day, what you could do is just follow exactly what it says to do every day, and you know for sure you're moving your business forward. If you don't do it every day that you're doing your business, then you're wandering around aimlessly and not being able to effectively build your business. Fourth thing to really focus on is pick your one skill that you're really focusing on how to do, and learn a tip on it every day on how to do it better. So if you're horrible with telling someone about your products, or if you're horrible with following up with people, if you're horrible at one of the most important critical actions and steps for your business, that should be your primary focus on education. Because if that is a critical piece to your business and you just still suck so hard at it, then you're never going to get better unless you keep doing it over and over and over and over again to get better with practice. Or there's probably some areas in there that you could tweak and fix to make it more efficient, better, and actually have positivity come out of it. So pick that and learn how to do it more effectively. This is a dangerous hole to get through, though. Again, that's why I put it as fourth, because if you do this first, you're going to get sucked into training mode, then idea mode, tips mode, and you're not going to do the follow-up mode and the invite mode. Those things are most important. And the fifth thing is most important is your mindset. Your mindset has to be on the right track. I talked about it before. If you're constantly telling yourself, nobody wants to work with me, everybody's always talking with me first and then goes and buys off of so-and-so, this is so expensive. If you're in a negative mindset, then that's what you're filling your body to be. No matter if you think you're a positive person or not, it's coming out. It's coming out. And there was a great, I don't know if it was a Snapchat or if it was a podcast, I can't remember, but Chalene Johnson put out something in regards to, when she did an interview with Win Claybaugh. Win Claybaugh is an amazing motivational speaker, but she just did a interview with him, and he's with Paul Mitchell, you know, the hairspray, the expensive stuff when I was a kid I could not afford. But he's so fantastic at speaking, but he said something and the lines of, what is your perception of yourself and what is actuality of what people perceive of you? Those two things might be completely different. You might think, well, I am a positive person, I am a go-getter, but what other people see of you might be completely different, and you may not know that about yourself. And I can say that that is truth because it's true to my own self. Here, I had this argument with Chalene years ago about it, and I thought that I was this one thing when in actuality I was this. And this is something that can keep popping up over and over and over again. And that's why your mindset of constantly trying to be a better communicator, positive mindset, believing in things that are possible, all of that is so critical for your success. Because if you are going to be building your business, you're going to get people who don't do what you think they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. You're going to get people who say, no, this thing sucks. It's a pyramid scheme. The product is crappy. You've got people who are going to say, no, 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 no. You've got lots of stuff that's going to happen in your business that's not going to move your business forward. And if your mindset is not in the place where you know that you're in control of how you think about it, you're going to go downhill. It's not going to grow. You have to be in that mindset of it's going to happen. And I don't know, again, where I've kind of come to this myself, but it has to be the influence of the people that I've worked with throughout the years. I don't know why, but the thought process of there's always got to be a way is always like deep in my blood. No matter when the answer is no, no matter when this 10 people just in a row said, you suck so hard, I never want to talk to you. I don't care. I still know that there's 10 other people that do want to work with me. And this mentality of there's got to be a way. I'm always going to make my goal happen no matter what. I have goals set for this month. I have goals set for this quarter, and I have goals set for the remainder of this year. And you know what? I am going to push as hard as I can to make the yearly goal happen, but I'm going to never give up because there's no reason to. Why? Why would there be a reason to immediately just accept failure when it's not over yet? If it's not over yet, when is the deadline? You should not accept failure. This is something within your control. If you want to grow your business, you got to take that control in your hands and run for it. That's the only way you're going to make things happen. And those 5 tips will make those changes in your business tomorrow. Get away from the activity that's going to just get you busy, waste time, and produce nothing tomorrow. Keep the focus going forward. Align yourself up with right people who are going to make those actions happen in your business.